Samuel Oando, CEO BizNet, senior government officials present, fellow commissioners, peace actors present, development partners present, friends from media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I thank the Kenya Peace Conference Secretariat for inviting me to address this peace gathering and such a distinguished audience, politicians, scientists, entrepreneurs, artists, church leaders, and others representing all walks of life in the Kenyan society. I'm glad that this conference underscores the International Peace Day, marked every 21st September globally, and it is indeed great to be here with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have different languages when we speak about peace, as we represent different forms of knowledge, power, experience, and wisdom. We also participate in different discourses. As a leader who has served in various positions in this country, I want to take this opportunity to share with you some of my thoughts and experiences. You are aware, with me, Kenya has been experiencing political violence, especially during electioneering period. The worst form of this violence was the 2007-2008 post-election violence, whose consequences will continue to confront us for a while. My friends, deliberate efforts have to be made to curb possible recurrence of this kind of violence. Ladies and gentlemen, fortunately, some significant strides have been made in the struggle to end the long cycle of political violence. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference theme, Preventing Cycles of Political Violence, a participatory framework for sustainable peace beyond 2017 election, underscores the mandate of the Commission and other partners. Distinguished guests, the NCIC has set up institutional structure and framework to support organizational development. Knowledge is power. Thus, NCIC, we have generated new idea enriching knowledge base that supports a policy agenda geared towards achievement of sustainable peace and coexistence among Kenyans. I'm glad to mention to you that the Commission has trained over 2,000 police officers across the country and continues to partner with the National Police Service to train more on offenses under the NCI Act, such as the definition of hate speech, investigating hate speech, among others. To this end, the Commission has prosecuted quite a number of law offenders and thus curbing hate speech, especially among the political class. We have also partnered with the National Security Council, IBC, BizNet, and NSC, and UN Women, among other partners, to implement a national conflict prevention and response strategy dubbed Wiano Platform for Peace. We are all called to embrace justice as our shield and defender, as we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty for the plenty to be found within our borders. Thank you and God bless you. And with those few remarks, I declare the workshop officially open.
Looking at the theme of our conference, preventing the cycles of political violence. When you talk about preventing, the presumption is there's always likely going to be violence during this time, relational violence. I may have hastened to say breaking the cycle of electoral violence.
I'm encouraged by this theme because it was one of the recommendations of the 2015 Peace Conference. Kenya Peace Conference is not an organization. It's a loose coalition of organizations that have decided to come together in order to promote a shared vision for peace in Kenya and to have collective impact on this country. Peace is fundamental. It underpins sustainable development, as it were, and therefore it's very important to invest in peace building.
The tribe is the devil's religion. But you have to agree with me actually that in East Africa, the tribe is actually a Kenyan problem. It's not even an East African problem. Because the Tanzanians see themselves as Tanzanians. Incidentally, I was in Uganda during the Ugandan election. There was no election in Uganda. Okay? Museveni decided that out of 15 million registered voters, 9 million will vote. And out of those 9 million, you will get 62%, and his closest rival will get 34%, and he distributed them like that. So what did he do? He announced in 10 bunches, and he was removing the statistics from a program in the computer. He didn't bother how people were voting outside. 27 ministers were defeated, his ministers. So the way people were voting in the field was completely irrelevant. But this is what I did not see. I didn't see a Ugandan attacking another one because Museveni has stolen the election. This is what we did here, you know? So you can see there are more of our people than we are. So we need really to work very hard to educate our people, for them to know that they need each other, and that the politicians are fairly brilliant. They have made you believe, you know, you are a Gikuyu and you are angry, you have no money to take your children to school. And then you are a Luo, you are angry, you have no money to take your children to school. They have made you believe that your anger is better because the Gikuyu is a president. That is very sad. Because the moment you realize you have a commonality, you both cannot eat and combine, that day there will be peace in Kenya. And the election will not be something we need to think about every time we go to an election. For us to be peaceful, we need actually to demonize the past which has not worked for us. And we are again totally unable to do that, because you see, for people to move ahead, you need to learn from the history so that you don't repeat the experiences of other people.
We are products of history. The history of the world is none other than the progress of the consciousness of freedom. Freedom from violence, freedom from want, freedom to express oneself, freedom to enjoy the principles of democracy. Peace, indeed, is the ideal. Freedom is also an ideal, and we must be able to analyze this within concrete contexts. Men and women make their own history, but they do not make it just as they please. They do not make it under circumstances chosen by themselves, but under circumstances that are directly encountered, given and transmitted from the past. The tradition of the dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brain of the living. To apply this to Kenya, our historical past really weighs down on us in many ways. In ways that makes us really want to imagine that history is not important, and yet history matters. In ways that today encourages us not even to allow Kenyans to understand and know their history. Yet we are products of our history.
Here in Kenya, it was not very much different. Okay? It wasn't different. I mean, you are the Jomo Kenyatta. He really didn't do much to keep us together as one person. He should have done that. We are only 6 million. We are very innocent. We would have very easily loved one another and become a nation. He didn't do much. Instead, we are a country. A country is made of many nations. We would like to be one nation, because our nation is a cohesive entity. It's a people who care about one another, okay? Who's your tribe origin and all that comes last. And then in enters Moi, and he follows Nyayo. And the rest is actually history, as they say. Okay? So finally, we get Kibaki who decided to concentrate on improving roads because the country was basically finished. So we are hoping that now we can create leaders who will transcend this animal-bound tribe and they make us as one person, one people.
I want to make the statement that history is important. History is important because it links us with our past. History is important because it is the basis of our memory. It enables us to appreciate both our positive accomplishments and also our failure. And we should not shy away from acknowledging where we made mistakes, other than celebrating where we actually did well. But there is need for very serious coordination. Systems should be put in place so that we do not respond spontaneously to violence as it erupts. What has helped us is that violence in Kenya has been sporadic, has been spontaneous, but if we do not take care, it will engulf the whole country and will slide into the camp of the failed states in Africa and the third world. That we don't want to do. Thank you very much.
We can walk, we can be on the beat. What's more? Haijalishi unaishi jimbo gani, unatoka MBT, haijalishi unanena lugha gani, haijalishi uji nahisi jinsi unavyohisi, haijalishi rangi yako ya ngozi, umoja sawa na ufanisi, hakuna tofauti.
My name is Dr. Mark Leleruk. I work with the Administration Police Service, and I'm really privileged to be part of this conference. I just want to bring to your attention that as duty bearers, the police, National Police Service, this time round we're saying that we're joining hands with other Kenyans to ensure that we break the circle of political or election violence.
We want to call upon Kenyans that we reflect on what do we really do to promote peace from our and within our own environment. What do we do to promote peace within our own families, and what do we do to promote peace within our own political structure, and how well do we relate to each other?
We did what was within our capacity to do, and for 2013 general election, our focus was on having a peaceful, free and fair election. After, of course, the Supreme Court ruling, the country has been polarized along political and ethnic lines. And this potential conflict and tensions remains up to now. we had various consultations with the media, not just journalists that we trained, not just the editors that we talked to, but even to the media owners, whom we called and we agreed that let us focus on national interest. You might have your political interest, because we know media houses have some partisan also, and they have business as well as political interest. But we say, let us all focus on the bigger picture, and that is having a peaceful country. We also went out of our way to work very closely with the security agencies, and in particular, we had the police embedded in the commission, a special unit for elections, and we had senior policemen being trained on election offences. Because remember, IEBC has an issue where we have been accused that we do not do anything when it comes to election offences. But we had to train the policemen to know that without evidence, then the office of the DPP cannot prosecute any offense. So they have to understand why it's important to get evidence, and in some instances, we were able to move ahead in some cases because now the policemen had learned. Well, where there were challenges, we have now since learned on what to do. But as you know now, there is a bill pending in Parliament on election offences, which has been removed from the Elections Act. That in essence has sort of reduced the powers that now we have in terms of investigating and prosecuting election offences. We have marked 6 years since the implementation of the new constitution. But what does this portend for the country, even as we begin on the home stretch for 2017? I said expectations are much higher, the stakes are much higher for the political players, and political conflicts are set to multiply because now the focus will shift from the national level to the county level. Where we thought nothing would be happening, you can see now the vicious wars between governors, some even trying impeachment processes between governors and senators. The senators want to unseat governors, MPs want to unseat governors, because now people want to be where they assume there is relevance. And relevance means having the key to the resources. Governors have a lot of resources at their disposal, so that is one reason why there's going to be, or there's potential for a lot of conflict come 2017. Insecurity will remain a major challenge. We have seen already, news coming from various parts here and there about conflict, and that also builds up when elections, when it's an election year, it builds up to a level where now, it escalates and the tensions get higher during election period. In conclusion, I would just say there is need for collaboration and consolidation of peace, and I'm glad PeaceNet is doing this, and that we need to build a culture which heightens, which shows people that the heightening of tensions during elections cannot be conducive for peaceful elections. So we all must support a process by which we have a desired outcome as a country. That is a peaceful, free and fair election.
I want us to share some little paradox about the word. One, occasionally we use the mouth to still represent the word. Or at times we say we use the tongue to still represent the word or speech. And you can bear witness that occasionally you hear somebody described as mouthy, or somebody having a long mouth, just referring to the way they speak, whether they speak too loudly or whether they speak a lot. If somebody speaks loosely, we call them, we describe them as having a loose tongue. And so, the word, the mouth, and the tongue actually could be used in this paper to mean the same. Now, I want to quote three references to the tongue. So I'm using the tongue here to actually represent the word. Now there is that first reference which says, a sweet tongue is man's greatest asset. But then there is the other reference which says, ulimi ni upanga. And then the other which says, ulimi hauna mfupa. Now look at those paradoxes, and that is just how complicated the word can be. It can be upanga wa kukata, kuua. It can again be an asset where good things can come out of speech. But then we always realize that as we talk, ulimi hauna mfupa, which means it is us who control our speech because the tongue has no bone to control it. I just want to foreground what my paper is about. One, we look at the value of peace. Then we interrogate the power of the spoken word in peace building. Then recognize the role of words in fueling or diffusing tensions that threaten the peace. And then, here, TGRC, I meant NCIC, sorry. I'm talking about NCIC, preoccupation with hate speech. Then identify contexts under which hate speech flourishes, and that is politics and ethnocentrism, and then analyze instances of hate speech. The background, we all are in agreement that peace is the most treasured commodity for mankind. That is why we are here. And we also realize that peace is the ideal human condition. That's why we are campaigning for it. Now, even the church stipulates just two conditions for mankind: either glorification of God in heaven or possession of peace on earth. Those are the two conditions that exist actually for us. And I was taking an example of the Catholic Church that has given this condition in song. And there is a song they sing that goes something like, utukufu juu kwa Mungu, utukufu juu mbinguni, na amani pote duniani, kwa wenye mapenzi mema. So those are just two conditions. Glory to God in the highest, but peace here on earth for people who are of goodwill. Remember, only people of goodwill. And I realize that St. James Bible version actually invokes the word peace 425 times. That actually goes ahead to underscore the importance of peace. Now, every religion we know preaches peace, and those who read the Bible, Jesus Christ was always talking about peace. Peace be with you. I leave you peace, and so on. And of course, there is the clarion call in church, which normally goes, peace be with you. And then the answer is, and also with you. Or go in peace. And I also realized that traditional societies still also stood for peace, as expressed in some of the greetings, like the Luya, when they meet other people, they say, Mrembe. Mrembe means peace. And if you are the one being greeted, you say Mrembe mun or Mrembe or Mrembe mingi. Much peace, and so on. Now we have other expressions like shalom in Hebrew. The Igbo, when they interact, they start with umofia kweni. This is just a way of setting a stage for peace. And we also are aware that in our interactions, we always want to seek other people's wellness, find out about their wellness. That's why we ask, how do you do? Habari yako? And somebody will actually explain their condition. Recommendations. We are recommending that societal cohesion and peaceful coexistence should take precedence over individual political mileage. I don't know how we are going to do that. We are also recommending that leaders need to respect the country's ethnic diversity and appreciate the individual ethnic sensibilities for the sake of national unity. We are also recommending that before leaders speak, they should always remember that ulimi ni upanga that can cut down all the country stands for, including the entire citizenry. We are also recommending that those in power should avoid exclusionary tendencies that make communities other than their own feel other. Wow, Narcis. Then we are also recommending that our country engages issue-based politics. Let them, like Professor said yesterday, let them say how good they are, not how bad their opponents are.
I want to share a story without mentioning his name. A very sad story I had on how conflict affects children. During one of the conflict between two communities in Rift Valley, like every night, the villagers go to sleep outside. And there was this woman who had a very, very small baby, like less than 2-3 months. And that night in the bush, it was raining, and the child was crying. It was crying, and the family are running away from enemies. So because of the persistent cry of the child, they just decide, the voice of this child will bring enemies to our hideout. So what do? Let us kill the child. They strangled the child to death in order to protect the rest of the family. So, if children are affected by conflict, they can also do something about it. We began the process of engaging children in this process after realizing that children are barely considered as a resource for peace. We developed a child-centered model of peace building. In this model, we make children friends, children from two communities, Pokot children and Samburu children. So the circle of friendship moves from child to child to the family. So through the children, we made families friends, so that children's voices are heard and their contributions are appreciated. But if we socialize our children when they are young, it's very important, and that's what we are trying to do. Children are accessible, very accessible, and easy to mobilize for peace process as well as violence. I want to say, if we are not going to mobilize our children to be peace builders when they are small, other people will use them for violence, and it's still happening. Some of the outcome, children visit each other over the holidays. Pokot children visit Samburu families and stay for 2-3 weeks, and they take care of cows together. Believe me, a Pokot taking care of Samburu cows, or a Samburu child taking care of Pokot cows. We have seen this happening. Then, increasing in the number of children going to school have increased. Schools have not been interrupted for the last 5 years. The sharing of resources. If you look at the picture on the left there, those goats were given by families to their family friends of their children. Household goods are given by families to each other. And then children write letters to each other, communication increased, interaction increased. What made our approach unique? Participation of children directly in intercommunity reconciliation. This is what made it unique. Use of empathy. Children, you cannot teach children about peace like you will talk to adults. It's empathy. You see a child going to the father and saying, my friend has no clothes. And we've seen parents buying suits for children of people whom they have been looking at as enemies.
So, on behalf of the kids,
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the county government of Nakuru and on behalf of the people of Nakuru County, I want to take this declaration and confirm to you that as a county government, we shall take the declarations very seriously. Your efforts are not in vain, and we will read by example. It's time now we engaged into a mind revolution, whereby we change the way we live. That is what we are lacking. And we cannot attain peace if we don't have a mind revolution. So we condemn what is happening elsewhere, as far as people thinking that because somebody came from another county, he or she cannot work. We condemn that. And as a county, as Nakuru Nakuru is open for everyone. From all the 47 counties and from all the 5 continents. Feel free, feel at home, and together you live in peace and you make a better county, you make a better country, and you make a better world. Thanks so much, and God bless you. Last but not least, I have now the honor to declare this conference. This is the first. It's a first in my life. So you guys step forward kidogo, eh? Yes. So I have the honor, on behalf of the county government of Nakuru and on behalf of His Excellency, the Governor of Nakuru, Honorable Kenodia Bogwa, to declare this conference officially closed.